The developers are super lucky that the H2O scientists found on Mars is frozen, because the Red Solstice water would have been a ridiculous name. In today's humble opinion, we're getting tactical in the Red Solstice. If you're the type of person who's looking for all the mental stimulation of a real-time strategy game with all the action of being a meat-headed space marine, then look no further. The Red Solstice is an action-oriented real-time strategy game that was developed by Ironword and published by Enkidu Games, Incorporated. The backstory is that a virus broke out on Earth and humans were in a toxic relationship with it, so they said, hey, we need some literal space, and they left to shack up with Mars. Hilariously, mankind decided, you know what would be great? Getting back together with our ex. You know, the virus that almost drove our civilization to extinction and brought it along, prompting another outbreak. I assume this wouldn't have happened if Elon Musk had survived, but in this universe it's apparent that he only got us to Mars, he didn't actually come with us. I imagine it was him who stayed behind to launch the safety rockets, God bless him. Weirdly enough, none of this has anything to do with the title, which refers to a powerful dust storm that makes life borderline unbearable. It blots out the sun, cripples travel between colonies, and it knocks your marine's drop pod off course. Sounds more like an eclipse than a solstice to me, but hey, what do I know about that? The game consists of two core modes, the first of which is a single-player campaign, which it recommends you play through first, and the second of which is a multiplayer mode that I haven't bothered to play or try playing. Some say that though the game has a small following, it's pretty easy to find a full group of people just by asking around, while others say it's impossible because the veterans are far and few between, and those that are left are pretty negative towards new players. As for me, fuck it, we'll focus on the single player. The first thing that you'll notice about the Red Solstice is that the presentation is a little more than, shall we say, goofy, which I'm sure is absolutely heartbreaking to hear given how much time and effort they put into the goddamn cinematic logo introductions. It's your typical Space Marine bullshit. Everyone sounds grisly and is super badass. We're on Mars, grr grr grr. We have a mission, grr grr grr. Affirmative, grr grr grr. And every time you click to move, the leader issues a command from a pool of exactly 2 voice lines. The plot doesn't really make much sense at times, like the fact that all of the power has been knocked out and some doors won't even function, but lo and behold, the plot convenient teleporter that requires the energy to move a physical body through space it's good. Or whenever this bizarro fucking worm finally rears its ugly head and everyone seems to finally be ready to comment on it, but actually they just mean the train that comes barreling through seconds later. Convenient yet again. Really, when you think about it, the story is a lot like a pair of safety scissors. It doesn't have a point, but it certainly has enough edge to cut. My advice, even though you should normally, is just run with them. Unlike the story, the game itself is actually fairly interesting to play, though the first couple of levels don't make that readily apparent with the way that they hold your hand to the extreme. I know that right-click moves my character, guys, not just because I played games with similar control schemes, but because you have a tutorial section on the main menu. I wish that I didn't have to spend 24 minutes or longer to have it re-explained to me in the world's most boring fucking introduction level, but that's where we are in life. Once we're actually into the game and making decisions for ourselves, the difficulty really begins to shine. You get to level up each of your crew members' abilities and stats, choose what kind of weapons they use, which ammunition types, and then you get to slow down time and position each one of them individually. You need to choose when to be on the move or when to dig your heels in and wait out the onslaught of enemies by making use of the bonus damage and defenses. Then timing the abilities appropriately can make or break you. There's a lot of thought that goes into making your next move, and it can actually make you feel like you're issuing commands to your soldiers personally. You might even start to have a mental conversation with them like, alright Johnson, you move up to the next area for cover and protect Killfist while he pushes the assault. The Red Solstice is normally on the Steam store for the price of $19.99, which isn't outlandish, but I still feel like a more appropriate price would be somewhere around 15 bucks. That's not to say the game doesn't have quite a bit to offer, but the fact that a good portion of interest comes from the experience that multiplayer is rumored to offer cuts it down a bit. Still, the best deal would be to wait for it to go on sale for its lowest sale price of $3.99, so be on the lookout for that if this game sounds like it would tickle your fancy. Gameplay for the Red Solstice earns a 7 out of 10 for its strong mechanical background. The points that it loses are for the fact that multiplayer is apparently the ideal experience, but there seems to be conflict on how readily available the community actually is. It's also a little tainted by the almost condescending build-up. Otherwise, it's perfectly good at maintaining one's attention, forcing them to think strategically and encouraging progress. Value earns a bit lower at 6 out of 10 for similar reasons. A game that has a strong multiplayer component but lacks accessibility to that component feels as if it's wasting its potential. At the same time, it seems to have an unfortunate similarity to Satellite Rain, which also appears in this bundle, albeit with a much better control scheme and a much better interest curve. With a composite score of 6.5, the Red Solstice earns a B-, a very accessible game to players of all levels, and serves as an excellent entry point to the genre while providing a satisfying challenge for veterans.